So you've probably noticed a theme this week that I am all about the racing games. My love of racing and cars knows absolutely no bounds, and that's why I am overjoyed to be joined by Rod and Stephen to talk about Project Cars 2. Gentlemen, welcome to our Daily Show stage.
Thanks, Ryan.
It's good, this, isn't it? Right in the heart of E3. You having a good week?
Yes. Amazing. Intense. Amazing.
It seems like I can only talk to anyone for about 30 seconds before someone else comes in. That's
well,
okay.
we were saying, right, you have to look after your voice at E3 because it can go completely. Right, let's talk about Project Cars 2. We've seen the latest trailer, looks absolutely phenomenal, particularly running in 4K resolution. That's absolutely great. Can you tell us about the development of the game? You know, the thing that we were talking about earlier was that you've actually got some real racing talent helping you with the development of the game, is that right?
Well, even if you look back at Project Cars 1, we had about 3 racing drivers who are full-time members of the development staff who worked on the game for 3 years, developing the feeling. For Project Cars 2, we wanted to expand that and get even more ambitious with that program. So we added in different racing drivers from a bunch of different disciplines, and we've got in some pretty big champions as well. So with Project Cars 2, we also have Rallycross coming in. So we made sure to get 2 young Rallycross champions. We're also pretty hardcore video game sim racers as well.
There is a big crossover, isn't there, between racers and gamers?
Especially with the younger generation of racing drivers, they all drive at home as well. It's much more effective to drive at home than have to go and rent a racetrack.
It's cheaper.
Definitely. Yeah. Another program that we've been doing is getting the factories who we license the cars from to provide tests and race drivers for us. So an example of that is when we started working with Porsche, we asked them to give us one of their factory drivers to come and test the cars in the game. Right. So it's more than just the cars looking right. They have to drive perfectly as well. So who better to do that than the people that race the cars and test the production cars?
So you can legitimately claim that Project Cars 2 is developed by drivers and racers, right? That's phenomenal. What kind of feedback are they giving you, and how do you actually take that feedback and work it into the game?
Yeah, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so some of the race drivers that we work with used to be gamers. Some of them come from the same background as we were, and they now, one of them, if I may mention, Tommy Milner, he's like 2-time Le Mans champion, and we know him from back in the day when he was one of the gamers with us. He was a young kid. Right. Now he's a very high-level professional race driver, but still very much in contact with his roots as a gamer. And we work very closely with him, and he gives us a sort of detailed feedback that only somebody who understands simulation at that level can. So he works closely with our physics expert. They sit and tweak and change until Tommy is happy with his car feeling in the simulator exactly like the real one does. So yeah, it's a total symbiosis, just works back and forth off each other.
We want them to tell us that we're doing a bad job. Right. That's the best thing. They'll get in their car, they say, this is nothing like my car. This is wrong, or I'm going 20 miles an hour through this corner on this track faster than I would in my real car. Or when it rains, this is wrong. This car doesn't feel like that. So we're always getting feedback like that. We look on the video now, you see the McLaren 720S. Yes. We had the actual driver who developed the handling for that car and the actual Pirelli tire engineer who built the tires for that car. They worked on the in-game physics and handling of that car. So this is a level that we're getting to now. Excellent.
Was that, there was a road track a second ago that looked like it was in Scotland?
Yes, Scotland. Bannockbrae.
Where, sorry?
Bannockbrae.
Oh, very good.
That's the name of the track.
Can't say that.
Fantastic. Project Cars 2, 10 out of 10. Oh, well done, Jess, that's great. That's fascinating that you've got that real tangible feedback from drivers, from the, you know, for the cars that they're actually racing. Let's talk about those cars. Like, what's the variety of cars and vehicles you've got in the game?
Well, we are very much focused on motorsports, although we do have some road cars. You could say it's about 60% race cars, 40% road cars. So we have some of the top international motorsports that you see today. We have the Indy cars coming in. We've got the full IndyCar license, all the teams and drivers. You can have your own Indianapolis 500 if you want. And then we have a new class that we're doing is Rallycross. So that's mixed racing, dirt, tarmac, flying over jumps, smashing into each other. And some of these are 600 horsepower, very lightweight monsters that you drive sideways into corners. We had to learn a lot about what this type of racing is and get those young racing drivers involved with us, telling us how these cars should handle. And then we've also gone and recreated some of the classic eras of racing. Classic eras of sports cars going back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s. So when you look at Project Cars 1, we had a lot of very famous iconic race cars, but they might be by themselves. So we're saying that we want to have friends now. So if you have
we want to have context, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you want to have 5, 7 different types of machines that would have raced back in the day. And the other thing that we're really proud of is the multi-class racing.
Okay.
Yeah, so in multi-class racing, it's something that we started off in our first franchise, and now multi-class racing is something we support in all game modes.
Okay.
And what this is you are allowed to mix multiple different types of car classes. As a quick example, if you were to set up a race that you had GT3, GT4, and LMP1 cars in, and you choose to then race in GT3, where you're in the middle of the pack, in performance-wise, you'd be ranked based on the class in which you're racing. So even though you may finish the race overall in 7th, you may be first in your class and you still get points based on that.
Love that.
You find the other cars on the track, some of them may be slow moving chicanes, other ones are fast speeding hazards, you've got to get out of their way, and you can team up with people online and play team-based matches like that as well.
It's so much fun if you're driving a powerful GT car, and then you've got these little Renault Clios and you're dicing between the cars. This is incredible. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And
just
it
like
actually
the
opens
real
up
thing.
some sort of community game modes as well, right? You can, so yes, you can have your multi-class racing, but in that kind of example that you've just said, community's going to have a ton of fun with that. Yeah? Brilliant. Right, what is LiveTrack 3.0? Let's talk about that.
So, when you do a racing simulator, or really any simulator, but specifically when you do a racing simulator, there are 2 major areas that you need to simulate. The one is the car and its tires and its mechanical underpinnings. The other one that you need to simulate as accurately is the environment, because it plays such a massive role in how you experience the car itself, the environment in which you race. Now, LiveTrack, our technology in-house that we've been working on for more than a decade, is the technology that deals with how the environment simulation affects the track on which you drive. In our latest iteration, which is now at LiveTrack 3, we've done major iterations and minor iterations. On LiveTrack 3, we now take it to a whole new level where we have physics-based simulation of things like rain. So our rainfall is accurately simulated in, like, we measure how much water is falling from the sky. We simulate the surface properties, so you can have water fall on ground and it will absorb the water, but it will eventually saturate you, and if it's on a slope facing the track, the water will start running down and pool up on the racetrack, and all of that will happen dynamically and in real time. And you can, if you drive through it, your tires will dissipate the water if it stops raining, based on what time of the year it is, because we also simulate seasons. The track temperature may be different and water will evaporate at a different rate than what it would at another time of the year. So in addition to things like that, it gives us persistence between sessions, so you can be out qualifying, doing a bunch of laps, laying down rubber, you go over to the race session, and all of that is still there. And it all just brings it all together, making it so much more of an authentic experience than what we or anybody else out there has done before.
Great.
So a lot of the racing drivers that we work with, they tell us that whenever they're competing, they're always thinking about the conditions. Whether the track is cold and they have to heat their tires up, whether the track is really hot and they have to put hard tires on so the tires don't melt, whether it's about to rain and they have to think about all these things. And we want to bring that experience to gaming. So you're not just driving around the same thing over and over and over again. You're really having to think about what is happening here. Did a car pull some dirt onto the track because it went off? Is there a puddle there? Is there a dry line forming, and I can start racing harder now because it's no longer wet?
Excellent.
And this is the level that we're dealing with now. It's really recreating the mindset of a racing driver for everyone that tries and plays.
Love it.
And it makes
so
the experience fully organic, which is a big deal. It's not scripted, preset, just always the same thing. It's an organic experience.
You're blowing my mind as you talk about all this stuff, because there's something very unique about the way this game is being developed, right? So it looks gorgeous, there's so much coming together, but tell everyone the story of how this game is developed.
So we're a relatively small development studio, Slightly Mad Studios. We've been going for a good while, but we've been small and focused. We have an interesting structure. We're a distributed development system that we use. We started the company off as people from all over the world, and we've maintained that. So we have people working from all over the world in all sorts of walks of life, and all of these people contribute to the simulations that we make. It is very beneficial in many areas because, for example, you may have people living close to a famous racetrack or a not so famous racetrack, get out there, get some references, upload it, and work with it. So this is our company, this is how we've worked, this is how we've been able to, even as a very small team, be very competitive out there, break new grounds, and beat many of the key players out there who's also in this industry space. We just keep on pushing to new levels, and yeah, we've now developed Project Cars. The original one, Project Cars 1, is a new franchise. We were unknown, just put it out there. Our target, maybe we thought or people thought we were biting off more than we can chew, was to just set a new benchmark. And based on the reviews that we got and the feedback we got from the many millions of people who bought the title, is we nailed it. We were honestly the most technically advanced racing game on the planet, and with Project Cars 2 we repeat that.
I find that fascinating. It must be nice when you come out to E3 because you actually get to spend some time with your co-workers from around the world, right?
It is.
That's very true. Our Christmas parties are pretty funny.
I'll bet
because no one really knows each other very well. You have to wear name tags.
I love it. Very good.
Yeah, we don't meet in real life very often, but it's it allows us to have a global footprint. It's also quite an attractive company to work for because we got a lot of veterans who've been through the system of game development for sometimes decades, and they're really done with crunching on video games and living under their desks. They want to live on a farm and make babies, but they have all of this skill. That's not me, by the way. I live in hotel rooms. But they still have all this skill and so much to contribute, and it's a very new way of working. You see it more now with people working in a distributed way, but we were quite ahead of the curve when we started this.
Fascinating stuff,
you live on a beach, don't you? You have to go surfing.
Yes, I do actually. So
in South Africa.
Yeah, live routine is first thing in the morning, quick bodyboarding.
Well, maybe let me know if there's any any vacancies. I might give that a thought. It looks fantastic, Jen. Thank you so much for bringing it in, Rod, Stephen. I appreciate your time.